Hi and welcome to this episode of Al's Garage. Today we're going to be tackling the markings on this 1943 Willys MB project that we are working on. We're going to look right now to see if there's any markings that are on this hood. I've already started. The hood used to be pure white, but I've already got it a little ways. I can see some olive drab, so I'm optimistic, but we'll see. This vehicle was purchased in 1957 from the owner who still has it. He's 89 years old, and I'm fixing this vehicle up for him. And when he bought it, it was painted this shade of white. So there wasn't much as far as, projects and restorations and things. We can at least trace it back to about 10 years after the war. Usually people didn't strip the vehicles down when they repainted them, but sometimes it did happen. So I really don't know what we're going to find out, but let's get started and see what we can come up with. So I have made it to my olive drab paint and I don't see any numbers. If there's something here, it should be here by now. We have this, which is our bare metal, then we have our olive drab, then we have black, kind of a bluish color, which is almost like a primer it would look like, to this white. So my guess is that somewhere along the line it has been stripped or sanded or something, but I'm gonna try the other side off camera here, but I really don't think we're gonna find numbers, but that's okay. I went to a website, and I will link it in the description, where you can type in your serial number and it will plug in an estimate as to what your hood number is. It won't ever be exact, and that means you run the risk of having the same hood number as somebody else, but it's at least closer to what it would normally be. And that's one of the things I want to do, is try to get this as close to historically accurate as possible. Anyone can put USA and their phone number or whatever, but I want to try to at least, in this aspect of it, be as historically accurate as possible. So let's do that, and we'll get sanding on a few other areas. Just a quick update. I've gotten most of the paint off of the rest of the vehicle, minus the hood, which I'm going to work on tonight. But I did want to share that there were two markings I found, one on each side in front of the door cutout, and what it says is US Government for official use only. One of the gentlemen in the Military Vehicle Club was able to solve that mystery for me. I found that out at one point during the night, and it was a good solid day, 2 days of asking around on the internet and trying to find out what that was. But part of this video now will evolve into me creating a stencil, because I do want to include those original markings on this vehicle since they were on it. So I'm going to incorporate that into this, but in the meantime I have sent out for some parts, which I'm going to open right now, and that should include a set of decals that will go on the hood. Thank you, Ron Fitzpatrick G Parts. They are a great vendor. There's a lot of vendors out there, but he's good, and they have great service. So that is where I got some of the parts, and I believe that's what these are. Yeah. great. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is your AR-850-5 US military equipment markings, dated August 1942. So this is great that this goes into some of this stuff here. I will have to dive into it, but it provides, if I can open it here. Oh, wow, look at that. So it has provisions for where the stars go on the back corners. And they tell you the best type of paint to use. So a lot of great stuff. This is unexpected and is definitely welcome. A few notes about, let me stop moving this around. Also a letter from Scott Watson. So again, if you want to do the exact same thing that I'm doing here, as it relates to these numbers, talk to Scott Watson with G503 Jeep Parts. I think their website is g503.com. The parts website is like vintagejeeps.com or something. But he shows you if I have any questions. You know, he provides his contact information, so I'll link the G503 website in the description below. But I want to go into these markings, and let me take just a minute and make sure I've got it in frame. Yeah. So these markings are the 3-inch, the 3-inch numbers. I went with the 3-inch in this case because what I had seen, and I'll show you a few images here from different books that I've collected over the years, but what I've seen from these books is that in the field they used numbers that seemed to be a little bit bigger, big white, heavy looking letters, whereas from the factory, if you were going to do it's just rolled off of a factory restoration, those are typically a drab blue that doesn't show well on black and white photos, which is why they did that. But these numbers I wanted to be pretty prominent, so that's why we went with the 3-inch, and obviously I have a set for each size. So we went ahead with that, and once we get the hood painted, I will show how to install those. But again, I'd seen the smaller original blue numbers. I'd seen these larger ones. I mean, I'd even seen even larger ones than this that take up the whole hood. And again, there's just a lot of different ways that it was done. So we're going to set these numbers aside until it's time to put them on after the hood is painted. In the meantime, I'm going to finish sanding the hood, and then from there we're going to transition until after the Jeep's painted. So pretty exciting stuff here. We're here, and I'm going to try to replicate and create a stencil of the markings that are on here based on what we have. I'm going to pull this back, and you can obviously see the markings again. So I'm going to use this trace paper, and I'm going to try to pick up as much of this as I can. I have a image that I found online. Unfortunately, it's only of a picture of a sign, and it's at an angle. So it's not like I was able to get a real recreation of it or a good scan of a sign that's head on. With this being at an angle, I'm going to have to kind of do my own thing. And I don't know if this is even 100% exact. I'll be forced to, have a little creativeness to try to make this happen. So I'm going to take a minute or two and try to get this done. So this is everything I could 100% make out, which I think will be a good frame of reference. I'm going to throw a, oh, before I do that, I want to, essentially mark here where, you know, the location of this thing is going to be, so that when I paint over, I can put it essentially in the same place. So it's not everything, it's not even that much, but if I pair this with the image that I have, I should be able to come up with something that I can use to recreate this. So I'm going to try to work in Photoshop to get a file created based on this limited stuff here. And I'm going to, let's see if I can zoom in on written in here. So you can see, again, some of that is marked, but that should be at least a good starting place, and it marks where we are sitting in the location of the vehicle. All right, tonight I am out of the garage and at the computer where I'm working on Photoshop to create the stencil that goes on the side here. So as you can see with this file, I was able to, just with the line tool and then warping tool, this is in Photoshop, recreate this. And what I did is obviously I created one side and I flipped it and was able to do that, and I'm using the, let me create this layer here. The Forest Service crest was the shape that I wanted to model this after, which is obviously what was on the side of the vehicle. So I used that as my guide, and I have this set up. Once I'm done, I'm going to take all of these little individual layers and this block text, I'm going to merge it together and then remove everything else to create a vector file. So from there, I'll be able to send this to Scott Watson with G503, and he's going to throw this on his program that he uses to make the stencils with that 3M Oramask paper, the stencil paper. So it should be fun. You know, it'll probably be about another week before we get these in, but it might be longer than that before we're ready to put them on. And here we are. We are ready to put the stars and numbers on the vehicle today. I painted this about a week ago. Looking forward to making it look even closer to its final finished version. Before we actually put the numbers on, we want to make sure that the surface is, of course, clean. I've had it sitting out in the sunshine for the last 3 or 4 days. I painted it almost a week ago, and I want to make sure that obviously what it's going on is clean and that the paint is as cured as it should be. So having it sit out in the sun, get warm. Here in Phoenix, the highs were in the low 90s, so I think having it sit out in the heat of the day should have helped towards that. So let's get started and get it done. So it's been about 4 days since I've done my stars, numbers, and this white crest, and now I'm ready to paint the black that's on here, which is it's going to say US for official use only with the stars, and I have my stencil. Now when I apply this, I'm going to make sure that it's pushed down as much as it can be, and then once I have that down, I want to make sure that when I spray it, I spray as light of coat as possible. Wait until that's completely dry, then spray another coat as light as possible, and repeat the process only until it's got black coverage, because I feel like it would be very easy. I haven't done a job like this before, but I feel like it'd be very easy for official use only to come out, you know, globby, messy. It just wouldn't look good. I mean, I think that originally these were done with like a vinyl decal, and I like the fact that I'm doing a stencil job on this, but I just want to make sure that it looks right, because I don't have spares of these, and I want to be done with this and do it on the first try successfully. So let's give it a shot. Well, that wraps it up for this video about the stars, numbers, and surprise markings that we found on our 1943 Willys MB. I hope this process was helpful for you. The last thing from here is do just a little bit of touch up, since some of that vinyl stencil lifted a little bit. For that, we're going to use a very, very fine paintbrush, and I'm actually enlisting the help of the best artist I know, my wife Shelly. She'll be going in and doing a little bit of touch-up work, and then we're going to call this job complete. So again, I hope this was helpful for you and was enjoyable. If you like it, please like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. Excited to see the 1943 project here come to fruition and almost get done. We only have a couple more videos left, so I'm very excited to share that with you. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.